A person who just a month prior was being hidden because she would say so many dumb things, and she would and every time she had to talk openly with no script, she would blunder and things up. Now all of a sudden she's the perfect candidate.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Joe Rogan, on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he sat down with Dennis Quaid, came to a realization that is very, very scary for the entirety of the United States and also the entirety of the world, because what happens in the United States does affect the rest of the world, especially in the times that we're in currently. It's become abundantly obvious that whoever is the current president, it does affect how the rest of the world reacts. As soon as Joe Biden won the presidency, everybody started moving. All these wars started breaking out because people view the United States as weak right now. And Joe Rogan, in this Joe Rogan Experience episode, comes to the realization that Kamala, however the hell you pronounce her dumbass name, has a really good chance to win this next election. And Dennis Quaid actually gives some very good insights that Joe Rogan wasn't thinking about, that I wasn't thinking about. And it stuns Joe, because there is a reality in which Kamala Harris wins. Let's get into this clip here of Joe Rogan recognizing the dark reality that is in front of us if something drastic doesn't change. Let's check this out here from the Joe Rogan Experience.
And then next thing you know, Kamala Harris has one good speech and everybody's cheering, and you're like, wow. It's just completely flip-flop. All the talk shows, everyone's with her. A person who just a month prior was being hidden because she would say so many dumb things, and she would and every time she had to talk openly with no script, she would blunder and things up. Now all of a sudden she's the perfect candidate.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. Babylon Bee had a hilarious little caption. They said, when I get in office, I'm going to change things, says the woman who's in office right now.
Yeah.
Because she's in office.
Yeah.
She's talking about fixing all these things.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
from
you're
day one,
literally the
on
vice
day
president.
one, I'm going to really do something about the border.
But
says
you
the
are-
border.
Joe Biden was doing the same thing too during the debate with Trump. And I saw even wokies like Hassan Piker were calling out Joe Biden for doing the same thing, where he was like, when I win the next presidency, I'm going to reverse the abortion ban that Donald Trump, the imaginary abortion ban that Donald Trump placed. And even Hassan was like, bro, you're president right now. Do it right now. Like, these Democrats, they treat their voter base as if they're really, really stupid. And then their voter base votes for them just like they're really, really stupid. So I think they're probably right. You know, they treat their voter base as if they're stupid. I think they actually are pretty stupid because they continue to vote for them, even though they're getting treated like absolute idiots. And as far as like all these talk shows, The View and Bill Maher and everybody, we're talking about how dumb Kamala Harris is, talking about how embarrassing she is as a vice president. And they were hiding her, like Joe Rogan was saying there. They were hiding her from the public. And then randomly, it's like everybody got a call overnight and said, oh, Kamala Harris is actually the chosen one to save this country. She's the young candidate. She's a hip, cool candidate. And it's very similar to how Joe Biden, a lot of people are criticizing Joe Biden. He's so old, he can barely get a sentence out without slurring his words and losing his train of thought. And then overnight, everybody got a call. Everybody dropped out of the race and endorsed Biden. All the talk shows got fully behind Joe Biden and endorsed him. The same thing's happening here with Kamala. It's very obvious that these people are being either threatened or coerced with money or something. Something's happening where they're all on the same page all the time. Somebody's pulling the strings here.
Czar.
Essentially the president right now.
Yeah.
This is so crazy. You'll be the president for 5 more months.
Yeah.
This is so nuts.
But yeah, she's flipped on everything except for plastic straws. She still wants to get rid of those.
Did you see the thing where Trump came out and said that he was going to stop taxes for tips of hospitality workers, and you wouldn't tax them on tips anymore?
Yeah, that was like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, and then she came out and said she's going to do it.
Right.
And she's going to stop tips.
As
and everybody
if-
cheered as if it was her idea. But here's the problem. In 2022, she was one of the deciding votes
Oh, the
to go
tiebreaker.
after people that were not reporting their tips.
Was that on the Inflation Reduction Act or the Green New Deal? I think it was one of the same. Right. She was the tiebreaker.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to tax the business instead, which in turn taxes the workers that are there.
But it's hilarious that 2 years later she's acting like this is her idea now.
Yeah.
Like, you had a chance. You could have swung it the other way 2 years ago.
Yeah. Could have been right in there.
It's just
or that, she was
they did this very wise thing, the Harris campaign, where they would have famous
free bar,
singers.
you know.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
They would have famous singers and entertainers perform there, and then she would be there as well. So people would essentially get a free concert.
Basically at a concert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not hard to get.
Yeah, not hard to do.
Especially if you have a big urban environment.
Yeah.
You want to get 10,000 people to go to a place. Not that hard.
And granted, you know what? It did energize the Democrats when Joe stepped down.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was...
They knew there were 50 stayed in
they
there.
knew it. And
Every time we talked, it was getting
worse. It was
worse.
a ray of hope, and somebody young, and so all the people that, you know, they got volunteers, and they, you know, they're going all in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Supposedly, unless they really abscond the Republican agenda, which it seems like she's trying to do. You know, that's Clinton did that actually in '94. He was going to be a lame duck president. He was going down, and his response was in the State of the Union address. He said the age of welfare is over, and he basically took over the Republican agenda, and we had like 6 years of just incredible. The economy was amazing. It was a force, and. She started with Kamala now is, taking over the whole no tax on tips.
Yeah.
Trying to take that over, trying to say that she's...
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is faked. Like, all this support for Kamala Harris, her rallies and everything, it's all faked. It's all astroturfed. We've been saying this from the beginning. It's just the fact that it doesn't really matter if it's faked or not. And that's like a sad reality that I'm starting to realize is just how little free thinkers there actually are out there, how most people in the United States and in the world in general are just sheep. Like, they're so glued to their phone and the internet and what's happening there. I sound like a boomer. I swear I'm not. That it doesn't really, like, even if it's fake support, most people are not looking close enough to realize that it's fake support. Like, they don't care. They're just like, oh, look, Kamala Harris is getting all this support. I'm just going to fall in line. Just the easy thing to do. Seems like the right thing to do. There's a lot of other people doing it, so it must be the right thing. Like, that's just how most people think, and it's pretty sad, but that's the reality. Like, that's the game. You got to start playing it if you want to win. It's kind of like with the singers that go to the Kamala Harris rallies to try and draw people in. It's like same kind of thing as, a store will bring a celebrity in, or a club will hire a celebrity to go in, and they'll pay them like $50,000, $100,000 to get, I don't know, Drake to go to their club. But obviously they're planning on making the money back in drink sales and stuff like that. So it's the same kind of thing. It's just a desperate move because Donald Trump doesn't need to hire celebrities and singers and stuff to go to his rallies to draw a crowd. The guy can fill up a stadium, I'm sure, if he wanted to, like, just with his own fans. He doesn't need to hire celebrities like Kamala Harris does. And yeah, it's just such an astroturfed campaign, but it's working. We're seeing, I mean, it's working. Whether or not you want to believe polls, just from me looking at Twitter or X, I can tell it's working. I can tell there's a lot of people going over to the Kamala Harris side, and it's sad to see. It's a sad realization to make, because if Kamala Harris does win, I think it's going to be a dark few years, a dark 4 years, and possibly dark years after that too. It's scary. It's a scary thought.
Never was the border czar, and that from day one she's going to do something about it. I think there's like 4 or 5 months left in the administration right now. Why don't you do something about
also,
it now?
denying she was the border czar when there's hundreds of people talking on television calling her the border czar.
Oh yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah,
that's the
including
craziest
Joe
gaslight.
Biden himself.
Yeah,
said border czar.
Yeah, they said it on CNN,
czar.
and then CNN later saying she was never the border czar.
Yeah.
Oh, she wasn't?
Yeah.
Well, why'd you say it back then? You guys are misinformation.
Yeah, so she did go to the border. She went to the border of Nicaragua and the bordering country or whatever, talking about the root cause and all that stuff. Well, yeah, the root cause.
It seems very coordinated, doesn't it? The border thing.
Yeah.
That one I really want to know. Like, what are they trying to do? What's the end goal here?
I mean, it seemed the obvious thing would be for the old idea that's for voters, that people coming into this country are naturally Democrats, but that's not really true. You know, I have so many Latino friends, and the people that came here the right way, they can't stand what's going on because they really can't, and, and they have a tendency to really kind of, as you get families and church and stuff, to be, you know, become conservative and believe in the American dream, and that's so.
What do you guys think the actual goal is with that whole thing? I don't want to believe this, but it's, to me, it's like one of two options. It's either incompetence, like Kamala Harris and the Biden administration overall is just genuinely just lazy and they don't want to do their job properly, or number two, there's dark forces above Kamala Harris that are pushing her to be incompetent. You know, have the border be basically wide open, have these people come in to try and ruin the country for alternative purposes. I don't want to believe that's the case, but I mean, after everything that we've seen over the last 10 or so years, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But let me know in the comments what you think about this Joe Rogan clip from the Joe Rogan Experience with Dennis Quaid, where they make the realization that Kamala Harris has a real chance to win, and it's not like her support is not real, but it doesn't really matter because the fake support then garners real support, and it's working currently. Let me know in the comments what you think about this Dennis Quaid and Joe Rogan episode.